have one last stop in Africa. 3 countries, 3 universities will unite in order to promote e-health with a joint initiative. That is to say, 1 diploma, Mali, Senegal, Ivory Coast, together with the support of the PFAP Foundation. So we're going to have Professor Cheick Oumar Bagayoko from the University of Bamako. So Professor Joseph Aka from the University of Abidjan and Professor Antatal Dia from the University of Dakar. So please sit down, and we're going to talk about this university diploma, international diploma. So you will create that with your 3 universities with, I would say, Professor Bagayoko, you said that it's in fact nice to be in projects with, but at one point you've got to go to more steering and having a step back. This is why you created this university diploma. Yes, the facts are the following. We have hundreds of applications. We have enough pilot projects. We believe that the government now has to in fact scale the project. Now, before doing that, you have to fix a kind of framework, a framework that could enable you to have a communication between all the projects, because the objective is to treat the patient, and maybe the patient will move on to a dermatology application, to a cardiology application, to better manage the patient. You need to have bridges between these applications. So the idea of this training is to get together with innovators, health professionals that are really at the heart of the activities, to say, okay, this is priorities, this is the needs, and also the governments to say this is the health policies, priorities of the countries. And all these 3 players will have the same concept on what is e-health, and then promote something that is consistent. Okay, so we can say it would be the first university diploma that is created in Africa. Well, to our knowledge, yes, it will be the first ones. That's great. That's amazing. Now, Professor Joseph Aka, when we talk about e-health, we automatically imagine diplomas for doctors, for caregivers, how use this or that device, because this is what we in fact have. In fact, it's not. It's a medical diploma. It's a societal diploma. What is e-health? So what could it bring to a country? Well, thank you. I'm going to, in fact, make a comment on what has already been said by Professor Bagayoko. E-health is, in fact, medical computer. And this has been defined by Philips, that is to say, a number of techniques that is applicable automatically. And medical computerized, computer is an information, or using the computers in medical application. So it's a big set of group with subsets. So that's why we talk about telemedicine, e-health, and so on. So it's all of this, all of these items that we're trying to develop. Now, this being said, what we do, you said that it's quite recent. Why? Because you need to reach a critical mass of enough teachers. And for the CAMES, which is the African Council for Higher Education, medical and computer bio is rarely covered. You see this from what the CAMES has been doing up to now. So I think that today we've not reached the capacity that we targeted for HR. So when we, however, are 3, I think we have more force, so we can set up this e-health. And you know that WHO has defined e-health as the services, digital services for the wellness and well-being of population. So with that, you will have, with this university diploma, what the health professional has not been able to bring thanks to the sanitary infrastructures. It could be long distance or very remote. Now, going back to your question, It's a collaborative diploma between three universities, but at the same time, it's not only addressed for health professionals. You can have a wider target, that is to say, first, the people in charge of e-health at educational ministry or health ministry, rather. And then you have the innovators, the pathbreakers, those who have studied computer, digital, and they could be innovators. And then don't forget the NGOs, because we see that in the field, a lot of NGOs use e-health, so it's difficult to duplicate in a health system in terms of an information system. So to conclude, I'd like to say that it's a university diploma that is wider in its terms of target. It's very important what you're saying. You're saying that you're targeting people in the field or NGOs that have field operations, but you also said that this diploma is for people who are at the ministry. This morning, the minister said that it's important to train leaders in e-health. So leaders in political leaders or institutional corporate leaders that could get a higher voice or wider voice among the governments. Do you think that this diploma will contribute to the training of these leaders in Africa? I think yes. In 2003, we had resolutions, and then in 2013, WHO said that e-health is a priority area to fill a gap that medicine was not able to fill. So you see, it's very important. We also believe that these are new lines of businesses or new professions, and they really have a strong importance in the area of health. Now, Professor Anta Dalvia, what kind of teaching are you going to have? Are you going to go from one university to another, therefore from one country to another? Well, this university diploma that has been set up by our three universities, so this diploma will be more given at the University of Bamako. So it will be validated by the academic authorities of Bamako University, but also the other university, Dakar or Abidjan, because there's a collaboration between the three universities. Now, giving the e-health, because it's an e-health diploma, most of the classes will be online, so that the health professionals and the other students, these innovators or the decision makers, can still stay at their job while improving their knowledge. So you can work during the day, and at home when you go back, you can watch your class. Yes, on internet, videos. This morning we said that in our three countries, it's very easy to have access to internet, video, but also just by telephone, your telephone, so it's going to be very easy. And what's really great is that we will see these groups in a specific place, whether it's in Bamako, Abidjan, and Dakar. And this will be a strong, very important moment. And this morning, we saw that it was the first time that they heard e-health. So it's really important to have all these professionals could have information on what is e-health. And secondly, which is very important, is to be able to have what we call leaders or champions in e-health. It's difficult to find them within the health professionals, but maybe with these leaders that will come from health minister. So Mr. Bagayoko, we're going to have teachers or videos at home that you will be able to watch, but it's important to have time where students will be able to meet. And when they'll meet, what are they going to do? Well, this training has been adapted to the realities of the different countries. So a big part is 10 days. 10 days, we're going to gather health professionals, doctors, nurses, or innovators, and also the health leaders in the different countries. So maybe a small group, just so that we will have different teams, and the teams will be working on different projects. So they will be able to, in fact, get the priorities in terms of health. If people maybe come from Senegal, they will work on the health policy in Senegal, and then within that, they will see how e-health can help achieve the objectives. So the policymaker will say, be careful, this kind of innovation could be good, or on the contrary, could have a real boom. So you see, we will have a kind of evaluation on the ability to design projects for the future. So it's a hackathon. You will say, yes, it could be a hackathon or project-on. They will be anyhow together. And the idea is to really, it will be a condition in order to obtain a diploma, that is to say, your ability to come up with a nice project. So even for you, it's an e-learning class and this kind of hackathon where you could gather students for a couple of days. Yes, I think it's important, especially when you have this type of training. Why? Because you need to have new technologies in the learning. And what's important is that you have the standardization. We saw the winners of 2017. Maybe it's better to have a couple of projects with the same standard rather than have too many projects with not a good standardization. So, Professor Bagayoko, this diploma will be, in fact, steered by 3 universities, and the teachers will be in great majority Africans. Well, we believe that the teachers will come from Africa, 70 to 80%. So we will have 3 modules, application of e-health in Africa. What will be the applications that could really solve the problem? We're also going to work on innovation and project management. So in this area, we already have teachers who will talk about intellectual property. So for example, how do you go from a project to commercialization? It is very important to see that these innovations could survive. And then we're going to work on the method concept of e-health, which, as you know, is the same wherever you are, whether you're in Africa or elsewhere, because you will need to work on interoperability. How do you set up a framework that enables the applications to talk to one another? The idea is not to say we don't want this application, but rather set the rules of the games. Every application has to have the same rules. So the center, the core, is the patient, and we need to follow the patient. So that means that we need to speak the same language. Okay, Antal Zaldia, do you think that there will be a real African-specific way of seeing things with this diploma? Well, we're going to use methods that are accepted by all. So we're going to use the international standards. But our needs will be identified in the countries. Our targets are people working in the health area, the innovators, but also the people in charge at the health ministry. And maybe that's what will be very specific, but what's important is the networking. It's very important, especially in Western Africa. We don't have a lot of specialists in e-health. So we need to be able to train them, to train not only in our countries, but also other regions, such as other regions. So it's very important. It's this aspect, the fact of networking in Africa, but also open to other networks, such as the networks that we saw today, the ones that have been presented. Joseph Aka, same question. Will you have, I would say, an African touch with this diploma? Well, as a professor has just said, the basis could be common to every country because we all work in medicine and sciences, and then we adapt it according to the context. This is basically what we call the little African touch. As you said, 70 to 80% of the teachers will come from Africa, Western Africa, maybe elsewhere, but it means that you have at least 20% who will come from elsewhere, either from Europe or elsewhere. It could be cities like Marseille, Geneva. So it means it's a sign of maturity. If you say we have a diploma between three, I would say, universities, and 80% of the classes will be, in fact, made by the teachers. Yeah, well, it's a good starting point. It's a sign of maturity. As I said, the resources, the human resources at university level are not sufficient. We believe that we are 3 universities, so when we are 3, it means that we're almost I would say the best, we need to pool in order to innovate. And we feel that maybe more countries will come to us, not only the universities, but people who have engineering skills, who could take part in this training. So, Mr. Bagayoko, why is it important to have the universities fight or advocate for this kind of training? Well, we need to give credibility to the training because we need to highlight. So it's good that the fact that it's university. And secondly, you know, the universities, it's the place where you teach, where you learn. And if you want to strengthen this training, you need to have the right structure, academic structure, to really make sure that the training. So very practical question, when does it start? Well, how can you register? How can you be a student? Well, for e-health, it will be online. You will be able to register online. We will have the first quarter of 2019. We still need time to organize a couple of things, communicate, select also the students, because we feel that we will have a lot of candidates. So we will manage this as we go along. Do you have prerequisites? Do you need to have a specific university diploma before? Well, we will be looking at the people who are already involved in e-health projects. We also want to have a fair amount of profiles, leaders, computers. I thought you were going to say between men and women. Well, we want to have as many women as men, so that's something that we will do. Why? Because we feel that in general, when women in fact have a project, we have a good chance of success. Okay, good. You got it right. Okay, any other question? Well, questions, because I think it's a great project anyhow, supported by the PIAFAB Foundation, but also it's thanks to the different encounters that you have had. Well, during the last committee, the steering committee of the PIAFAB Foundation, we just discussed this. We said, okay, it's good to detect the innovators, but what can we do in a sustainable way for e-health? And we thought the fact of organizing this kind of training, so we will be able to capitalize on all the countries. So this will be something very important, and this is how the idea came.